There, I'm Sylvia Plester-Silk, and 10 Minutes to Joy is your weekly invitation to reset, recharge, and rediscover your most joyful self through aha moments and simple energy techniques. Today, we're discussing self-sabotage. Self-sabotage doesn't seem like a very joyful topic. However, it is very linked to joy. When we engage in self-sabotaging behaviors, we remove some of the joy from ourselves. But why do we do it? We have this goal that we truly desire in life, and we really, really want it. It may be for some getting on the stage, it may be for others losing weight or getting more fit. And there's a true deep down desire to have this. I want it so badly. But why? Why, when I want to exercise, do I find myself perhaps sleeping in? Or I just can't find my running shoes. I can't choose which outfit to wear. Oh, I ran out of time. I need to get to the office early, etc., etc., etc. You fill in the blanks for what your goal is that you truly desire and how it looks when self-sabotage comes up. The challenge with self-sabotage is we are really unkind to ourselves when it comes up. We are judgmental. We often beat ourselves up and are terribly critical. Why do we even self-sabotage anyway? Well, we all have an internal set point of how much happiness, how much fitness, how much success, you fill in the blank again, we can have in our lives. But where does this set back come from? Because we can watch other people that do it with apparent ease, especially if we look at social media. But then how much of social media is real? And we look at ourselves and it's like, why am I not doing this? Oh, I'm so, and fill in the negative blank. The challenge is what's happening when we self-sabotage is our patterns are acting up. Now, what exactly do I mean by a pattern? A pattern is a group of behaviors, emotions, and thoughts. The challenge is that so many of our patterns run underneath our conscious awareness in our subconscious mind. So they're playing out constantly as a script. It's like that the glitch in a computer program. And you look for it and you look for it, and it can be really hard to find unless you're an expert, and that's something different. You can also be an expert in finding your own patterns. When you start to notice what is it about losing weight that feels scary? Is there anything? Well, what else does losing weight represent to you? I was recently talking to a client who's being super self-critical because they wanted to lose some weight, which is fair. However, their behaviors weren't matching up and they were getting really angry and frustrated with themselves. Uber competent person, really capable, really able, but somehow couldn't pull it together in the same ways they'd managed to reach other goals. And what was happening? Well, underneath all of that, there was a young part of her that was frightened to get too much attention. Because, without going into a lot of detail, when she got attention, it was negative and critical. And we think and subconsciously, meaning I say think, when we get too attractive, we're going to get too much attention. And oh yeah, part of that inner child or subconscious programming goes, this is not safe, alert, alert, abandon, abandon, abandon. And by gosh, we're eating chocolate again. We're sitting on the couch watching copious hours of binging TV, and we're gaining weight. Okay, so how is this even helpful? Well, one of the things is to just recognize when you're stuck in one of these loops of self-sabotage, that it's not you failing. It's you having a part of yourself, either from a past life or your childhood, that discovered a way, a workaround, a solution that was really uber effective at that time. And that solution keeps getting replayed and replayed and played in current life. The challenge is it no longer fits current life. Huh. So, what we need to do instead of being self critical is come into a self loving, self compassionate place of, oh, I'm stuck again. This is difficult for me. What might be triggered? And yes, you're working with your conscious mind, but starting to just notice, okay, each time I do this, this happens. So each time I try and diet, perhaps, I start to feel X. It might be unsafe. It might be you start to feel excited. You start to visualize yourself being really attractive, and then something shorts out. Patterns don't make linear sense. So you can start to look at what are the commonalities, and then go to a therapist who specializes in different forms of energy work, who can help you access your subconscious and work through it. Because talk therapy and making plans and doing cognitive behavior therapy about, well, when you want to eat, do this instead, isn't going to work, because that pattern underneath is going to keep on playing out and playing out and playing out and playing out. And so you won't be able to get the solutions that you're so much desiring unless you go in with a really skilled practitioner who can help you look underneath and see what that's about. So, for example, with my client, we went underneath and discovered a scared child. And then we did some compassionate work with the younger child. And we'll see. I suspect she'll have more success unless there's another part that we need to work at, which we can do in another session. So, learning about yourself and understanding what is it that you are doing. There is a chapter on patterns in my book, Healing is Possible, the 10 Things You Need to Know to Heal. I highly recommend you get it on your local Amazon. I will put a link in the show notes for you. But next time you find you want goal A and behavior B, which doesn't line up at all to that goal, shows up, instead of beating yourself up, instead of punishing yourself, instead of trying to exhaust yourself making it work, do some inner work. Look at what are some of these patterns. And even in my book, there's also ways to work with patterns so that you can actually take action steps to work with these patterns on your own if you are unable to find a great practitioner to work with. And certainly you can get pieces of that. Sometimes it's a bit of guesswork. Like, okay, what would ever be unsafe about um, losing weight? For some people, it could be unsafe because if I lose weight, I'll get healthy. And when I got sick was when I got love or attention. So it sometimes makes sense and sometimes doesn't. It's really spending time perhaps in meditation, just in silent contemplation, but coming from a curiosity and loving point of view of what might this be about. Because when we self-sabotage, we're not meaning to. It's an unconscious part of us acting out. And they're trying to keep us safe. They're not trying to make us lose our goals or never make our goals. They're just at some level trying to keep us safe. And so, isn't that a beautiful thing? Trying to keep us safe. It's an absolutely lovely thing. So, thank you, Pattern, for trying to keep me safe. I love you. I understand where you're coming from. And here's the pieces that I would like to release and let go so that you can then have success. When you're in self-sabotage, you need to do the deeper work in order to find the results you desire and the joy that lives there. That's a wrap for today, folks. Remember, your past, it doesn't need to define your future. You get to choose. Keep moving forward, and I'll see you next week on 10 Minutes to Joy. Get your copy of 10 Minutes, or sorry, of Healing is Possible at your local Amazon distributor. Have a fabulous day.